Hey guys, I'm Tammy and welcome back to my channel. I thought I'd pop on today and take you along with me as I sew a t-shirt in 1 hour. I'm going to sew my Naya t-shirt because it's such a great palette cleanser when I want to sew something that's not too complicated. I already have my pattern pieces cut out, so the great reason why I like to sew the Naya t-shirt when I want a good palette cleanser is because the front and back of this t-shirt use the exact same pattern piece, so it comes together really quickly, and that's exactly the kind of project I want to sew today. The sun is shining in the UK and it's getting warmer. I really wanted to sew something in that sort of tone, so I have this really pretty cotton jersey, I think this is Brogan's fabric from the Sewing Bee, and I've just had this in my stash. I think I have about 3 meters of it, but the Naya t-shirt will only take 1 meter. It's just a really nice stretchy fabric and the print is so gorgeous. You can see it's got this really lovely almost 60s floral print, and I like the colors. It's kind of orange, yellow, and it just makes me feel really happy. I think a t-shirt in this worn with a pair of cream trousers is going to be such a cute summer outfit. So I've cut everything out. I've got the front and back bodice here, and then I've also got the neckband and the sleeve cuffs to go on the t-shirt. Honestly, I love how quickly this one comes together. Whenever I cut out my pattern pieces for any pattern, I always like to open out the bodice and put it against my body like that, just so I can see how that actually looks and what the style is going to look like. I always get questions about what to do if you don't have an overlocker. So the Naya t-shirt is a stretch sewing pattern, so I personally like to sew mine, the majority of it, all on the overlocker, but you can sew it on a normal sewing machine if you are just using a zigzag stitch. You just basically need a stitch that's going to stretch with the fabric. This is the overlocker that I'm going to be using. This is the Brother Airflow 3000. I got it from Brother. It's honestly such a good one, and the reason why I love this specific one is because it has automatic air threading, so I don't have to go ahead and actually manually put the thread in apart from the needle. So I'm going to be sewing the entire t-shirt on this today, and I'm going to show you how that looks. It's currently 11 o'clock, so hopefully I can get this done by 12 o'clock. Normally I get it done in 45 minutes, but sometimes when I'm filming things it takes me double the time just because I have to set up all the shots. But hopefully it will be done quicker than I think. So I've gone ahead and sewed the shoulder seams of the top, and I've just given it a bit of an iron as well. I was going to pop on and say, you know, when was it? Maybe a month or two ago, I got this iron. And you know that noise it makes every single time it goes up and down? It's a cool gimmick, but my God, that sound has been driving me nuts. So I'm actually looking for a new iron because I like the idea that it goes up and down when you hold it, but the sound that goes off every single time gets so annoying. It looks like a cool iron and it does perform really nicely. For some reason the steam button isn't working for me properly, but just that sound alone literally drives me nuts. But now that that's been done, I'm going to go ahead and prepare the armholes and sew these cuffs to the armholes. So it's been about 20 minutes, and all that's left to do now is literally just sew the side seams of the t-shirt and then attach the neckband and hem the top. So hopefully that won't take too much longer. As you can already see, when you actually sew this t-shirt, if I just bring you down, once the shoulder seams are sewn, you basically just have to put right sides together and put the front and back top on top of each other, and then you just sew the side seams starting from the arm cuff all the way down on both sides. It's really simple to do. I'm going to go ahead and pin that together and sew that on my overlocker. So I've gone ahead and sewn the side seams of the top. One thing I really like to do at the ends of the sleeve cuff, so you can see this is the sleeve cuff end, that's the side seam, and I leave a long thread tail on the overlocker. What I like to do is get one of these long needles. They're an embroidery needle, so they're definitely thicker than a normal needle. And what I like to do is get the end of the overlocked edge and push it through the bigger eye. This definitely takes some practice, but you can always twist the ends and then push them through. So like that, for example, the thread's gone through the big eye of the needle. I'll then use this needle and push it through the rest of the seam, and that just means it won't unravel. So if I literally just go ahead and push it into the stitches, I like to go maybe like 1 or 1.5 inches, so like that. Hopefully you can see I've pushed the needle into a few stitches, so then when I pull it, the remainder goes inside the seam like that, and then I can cut this off. And now the edge, that overlocked edge, there isn't that leftover thread anymore, it's in the seam. So from the right side, it's gonna look nice and neat like that. That's just a little tip that I like to do with those edges of the overlocked edge. So I'm going to do that on the other side, and then we can go ahead with preparing the neckband. So I've got my neckband right here. It's basically a long strip of fabric. If you're someone that gets scared of sewing things like neckbands, I do make it really simple. I have a sew along YouTube video showing you exactly how to do it really easily. But I find the best way to make it look as professional as possible is basically just taking your time. I know that sounds really simple, but making sure you actually pin or clip really precisely. And when you're actually sewing your seams, you take it nice and slow, because that makes a big difference in making sure there's no puckers or gathers. But the first thing we're going to do is get our neckband and fold it in half with right sides together like that, and we're going to sew that short end on the overlocker or sewing machine, whichever you want to use. So I've gone ahead and sewn that short edge and also pressed the neckband, so it should look like this. Now, when you're sewing a neckband, pressing it like how I just showed you makes a huge difference in the finished result, because it makes it so much easier to align it to the neckline when it's actually already pressed. What I'm going to do now is actually attach the neckband to the neckline of the top. It's definitely much easier than you think. If you've not done something like this before, it sounds more complicated than it actually is, but it's really simple to do. So one thing I like to do with my patterns, which is what I included in this one, is the back neckline. I actually align that center back seam with the center back of the top, just because it makes it easier when you're aligning the rest of the neckline. I also take that center back seam we have on the neckband, fold it like this, so that seam is here. On the opposite end, so over here, I'll take some scissors and actually snip a little triangle at the halfway point, because it makes it easier to align that to the front of the top. So this is the neckband piece, and I've got that center back seam right here. I'm going to align that with the back of the top. That's the center back right there, because I made a little mark. So I'm just going to do it like this. So we've got that folded edge facing this way, and the raw edges are actually what we're pinning to the neckline. So I've done that for the center back. I'm going to move my pins, and then I'm just going to fold it like that so you can see that's what it should look like. On the opposite side of that center back here is where we'll find that notch we did with the scissors, and that's what we're going to align to the center front. So what I like to do is fold this down and align that to the center front notch like that. And then if I pull the center front and the center back, you should see that this neckband is already aligning with the neckline like that. And then I can just pin that along. So I like to stretch it, and then where it's actually meeting the shoulder seam, I'll use my fingers to hold it in place, just so it's being stretched evenly. So like that. And then I'll do the same on this side, and then try and get it even. And now it's been pinned at all 4 points. So it's going to be much easier to sew. I hope that made some sense, but basically you've just pinned the neckband to the neckline of the top at 4/4, which means when we put it through the sewing machine or the overlocker, it's going to be easier to distribute the neckband evenly. So for example, I've got a shoulder seam here and I've got the center back top here. When I'm going to put it through the overlocker, I'm going to stretch it slightly like that, so the neckband and the neckline are evenly stretched. And then when I put it through the sewing machine or the overlocker, it will be much easier to make sure there's no gathers or puckers that form because we're putting it through evenly. Personally as well, what I like to do is work in quarters. So what I'll do is I'll sew from one quarter to the next by stretching it, and when I get to the other quarter, I'll stop sewing, readjust it in the sewing machine, so the next quarter, stop, and then keep going until I get to the end. Taking it in chunks like that just makes it much more likely you'll have a professional finish at the end. So I've gone ahead and sewn the neckband and I've pressed it as well just to give it a bit more of a professional finish. And that is what that looks like. Hopefully you can see that looks so good on and there's no puckers or gathers at all. Like I said, to get a really good looking neckband, you just want to take your time and prepare your neckband by pressing it really well in the beginning and just making sure you align it evenly because it makes a huge difference at the end. So that's the front of the neckband, and the back looks like that. It looks pretty much the same, it's just there's a center back seam at the back. So that's the t-shirt nearly finished. All we have to do now is hem the bottom of the t-shirt. Now it's entirely up to you how you hem it. In the instructions I do recommend folding it double by 1 centimeter, but what I might do actually is, because this fabric's a tiny bit thicker, I might just overlock the end of the hem and then fold it up by 1 centimeter and stitch it down. Obviously knit fabric doesn't fray, but I like the inside when it has that overlocked edge. I think it looks really pretty. You can also use a twin needle, but I seem to have misplaced mine, so I would be using that, but I'm just going to use a normal straight stitch on the sewing machine. It's literally 11:58, so it's nearly been an hour and we're practically nearly finished. So it's 12:10, which means it's been, I think, about an hour since I cut the fabric out, and the top is now completely sewn. This is what it looks like. I love how it turned out. I just pressed everything as well to give it a nice clean finish. I honestly love this fabric. It feels really summery. So you can see the arm cuffs, that's what that looks like. I really love this detail on such a simple t-shirt. It really kind of elevates it and just makes it feel a bit more stylish. So that's the hem of the top as well. I just use a single fold hem. If I just open, you can see I overlocked the edge and then I just did a single stitch around the entire thing using a 1 centimeter seam allowance. But I'm really happy with the result. Let me show you what it looks like on. I hope you enjoyed seeing how I made the Naya t-shirt today. Honestly, it's so simple to sew and it's actually the perfect palette cleanser to get me back into sewing. Sometimes you just need a project that is nice and easy, you know where you're going with it. It's not going to be super difficult to complete, so I'm really happy I sewed that today. If you're wondering where those cream drawstring trousers are from that I just showed you in that video, they're right here and they are so good. So this is a pattern that's going to be exclusively in my sewing book, so I'll leave a link down below on where you can find that. Like I mentioned, that comes with 15 patterns and one of them is this drawstring trouser. So there's this trouser option and it goes all the way to the bottom. It has cute patch pockets and there's also going to be a shorts option for you to sew. These are just so amazing. I actually wore these not that long ago. I had a photographer come to my house to take some pictures of me with the book and I wore these and another top pattern from the book and they make such a great set and I just can't wait for you to sew these as well. They're so comfy to wear. They have a really cute stretchy waist and then they have this really cute drawstring detail at the front. You can see the sewing, stitching for the waistband. It's also got pockets over here, inseam pockets, and they're literally my favorite trouser. I can't wait for you to sew these because I've been wearing these to death. I have about 3 samples that I made and then I have this one that I made in a cotton linen blend. They literally feel incredible, so if you want this pattern, they are in my new sewing book. But I hope you enjoyed me taking you along with me today as I sew a really simple top. I can't believe I got it done within an hour, especially because I filmed the process as well. Let me know in the comments what you think and I'll see you in the next one.